This is RTV6 News at Noon, working for you.
Good afternoon. I'm Lauren Casey. Thanks for joining us here on the News at Noon. Todd Clausen is at home this midday. And Todd, more of the same. Another hot and sticky day for us.
Yeah, it really is, Lauren. In fact, the temperatures today running a little bit warmer at this point than they were already yesterday. Look at this, 90 in Lafayette, 87 in Indianapolis, 88 in Bloomington, and Muncie is at 89 degrees. You take in the humidity and factor that in, and look at some of these heat index values. Already 100 is what it feels like in Peru, 98 is what it feels like in Lafayette, 93 in Indianapolis, so already a scorcher of a day. And like clockwork the past couple days, as soon as we got into 11, 12 o'clock during the day, we start to build the cumulus clouds. We've already started to do that today as well as you look from downtown to the north. And we're seeing our first showers and thunderstorms starting to flare up here down near the Bloomington area and down towards Bedford as well. Not picking up much in the way of lightning, but this once again today will be a trend going throughout the afternoon hours. There's not going to be any rhyme or reason to where they fire up. So everybody will have the opportunity for some downpours, but it's really feast or famine. Once again, as these storms start to make their way through the area, you could get a quick inch of rain, and a couple blocks away, maybe a mile away, not a drop of rain. So that's just the afternoon it's going to be as those high temperatures top off into the low to mid 90s, and heat index values, Lauren, will stay right around 100 degrees.
Todd, thank you. Police are still investigating an overnight shooting on the east side that left one woman dead. Officers were called just after 4:30 this morning to a home on North Sheridan Avenue, just east of 16th Street and Arlington Avenue. There they found a woman with a gunshot wound inside of the home. That woman was taken to the hospital where she was later pronounced dead. The woman's identity has not been released. Police on the scene told RTV6 they were questioning a person of interest in that case. Also new this midday, fire investigators say arson was the cause of this fire that destroyed a vacant church on the west side of Indianapolis. Fire crews say the building on North Elder Avenue near West New York Street was burning by the time they arrived at the scene at 3:30 this morning. Several power lines in the area were knocked down by the flames, and fire crews had to ask IPL to shut off electricity in the area just after 4 a.m. That's around the same time the north side of the building collapsed. The fire was brought under control less than 2 hours later. If you have any information about how this fire may have started, investigators say you need to call Crime Stoppers. That number is 317-262-TIPS. The FBI is now investigating the alleged assault of a black man in Monroe County, part of which was captured on a video that's now gone viral. The video shows Vox Booker being held against a tree. Booker says his attackers threatened to lynch him and used racial slurs. Over the last 2 nights, peaceful protests were held in Bloomington asking for arrests in that case. Witnesses say they are still shocked the Department of Natural Resources officers on the scene took no action.
I couldn't even imagine what was going through Fox's mind, because he was being attacked by, basically by himself. We weren't there yet. So I couldn't even imagine what was happening in his mind. I was kind of surprised that they didn't make a couple preliminary arrests.
Bloomington police are also still looking for 2 people who were inside a car that drove into a group of protesters, injuring 2 of them on Monday night. New this midday, 2 universities are suing the Trump administration over a rule aimed at keeping international students out of the United States. Harvard University and MIT filed the federal lawsuit against Immigration and Customs Enforcement. This week, ICE announced that international college students would have to leave the country if their fall classes are taught entirely online due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Today, Indiana University issued this statement blasting the Trump administration's rule. IU Vice President Hannah Boxbaum said this, quote, "It is unconscionable to inflict this level of uncertainty on those who have invested their time and trust in the U.S. educational institutions, as it would be to force our international students to leave their homes, their classmates, and their academic communities because of a university's decision made in the interest of public health and safety," end quote. Well, also new today, Purdue is welcoming students back to campus this fall, but the school will also require all students to be tested for COVID-19 before they return to West Lafayette. Purdue announced today that it would cover the costs for all the tests for all of its 40,000 students. The school had previously announced it would require everyone to wear a mask inside of all Purdue buildings and common areas once campus reopens. The state did report a slight increase in COVID-19 numbers today. The health department says there were 455 new cases of the coronavirus, pushing Indiana past the 49,000 mark. 15 new deaths were also reported. The number of people in hospitals was also up, and the state's intensive care bed capacity fell back below 40%. The city of Indianapolis says it will be able to help thousands of people pay their rent if they aren't able to do so due to job loss during the pandemic. Today, Mayor Joe Hogsett and others announced more details of the city-county government's rental assistance program. About $20 million is available to renters, $15 million through the federal stimulus law, and another $5 million donated by the Lilly Endowment.
We anticipate an impact on between 7,000 and 11,000 households, providing up to 3 months of rental assistance.
The city will start taking applications for rental assistance on Monday. You can find out more information and see if you qualify at the website on your screen. That is indyrent.org. As COVID-19 cases continue to spike in many parts of the country, President Trump is now pressuring governors to mandate that schools reopen regardless of those safety measures. ABC's Inez de la Cotera says that many are worried that it could be too soon.
With the nation setting a new record of more than 60,000 COVID-19 infections on Tuesday, fears the nation could be moving backwards.
It's really important to get on top of this now during the summer, before the fall arrives, because the fall is going to be pretty tough. And remember, we're going to have the flu season to contend with.
Cases surging in at least 31 states, almost half slowing their reopening plans, or in some cases, even closing down again. President Trump repeating the false claim.
What we're doing very, very well. Again, mortality rate, the lowest anywhere in the world.
It's a false narrative to take comfort in a lower rate of death.
Trump now pushing for schools to reopen in the fall.
We want to reopen the schools. Everybody wants it. The moms want it, the dads want it, the kids want it.
It's ultimately up to states and local jurisdictions to decide when and how to reopen schools. Today, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announcing
for the vast majority of kids in the vast majority of schools, you'll be going to school, to the classroom, either 2 days a week or 3 days a week.
But in Florida, where more than 7,000 new COVID-19 cases were reported on Tuesday, the state issuing an emergency order requiring all schools to open in August at least 5 days per week for all students. This Florida mom enrolling her kids in online school.
For me, that's not acceptable, because if you are actually saying, okay, let's go back and then let's see who gets COVID. Is it going to be one child? Is it going to be 100 children? Is it going to be thousands of children because all of Florida's opening up?
And President Trump is beginning the formal process to remove the U.S. from the World Health Organization, something his 2020 opponent Joe Biden is vowing to reverse if he's elected in November. Inez de la Cotera, ABC News, Washington.
The president's push for schools to reopen regardless of those safety measures got this response from Indiana's top education official. Today, Republican State Superintendent Dr. Jennifer McCormick had this to say on Twitter. Superintendents, school boards, associations, and health departments are working with the teachers, staff, and parents on local reentry. Schools cannot and should not be bullied from D.C. into ignoring safety concerns. Not helpful. Well, they are working on a new type of COVID-19 test that could make a difference. Up next, a Central Indiana company that's hoping to make testing and detection of the coronavirus more widely available. Todd.
And right on cue, Lauren, thunderstorms starting to blossom across parts of central Indiana. We have this one down near Lake Monroe in Bloomington, now showing a little bit of lightning as well. These storms will continue to expand, I think, throughout the afternoon hours. We'll talk all about it coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast when the news at noon continues right here on RTV6.
Premieres Wednesday, July 15th on ABC.
Welcome back. Only on RTV6, an Indianapolis company is seeking to change how COVID-19 testing is done. Indy-based ARIA Diagnostics is working on a saliva test. The test is seen as an easier way to get samples from people. The current nasal test, which some people have said is uncomfortable, can be used. The nasal test is the common method for healthcare providers nationwide to determine if someone has COVID-19. The nasal tests are commonly used during the drive-through and other testing venues. ARIA Diagnostics believe that that a saliva test is possible.
Real reason it's a game changer is that's something that is, one, non-invasive, and two, can go to markets where we may not have a medical staff person to institute the nasopharyngeal swab. So that's huge. Think about markets where in Texas or Florida that don't have medical staff nearby that I can deploy. Instead, these can go to those workplaces and homes, self-administer, come back to us to be analyzed.
Arya Diagnostics is hoping to share developments on the potential saliva test in a matter of weeks. Well, he says he got tired of misinformation about masks. So next, how an engineer is doing his own test showing how you can mask up and still get plenty of air. Indiana hasn't decided whether most Hoosiers will have the option to vote by mail this fall. So just ahead, we'll hear from one expert on why the state needs to make that decision really soon. And here's a live look outside right now from our Weather Now camera. Here in the downtown area, we just heard Todd say there are some storms popping up across our state, so we'll get an update from him and a full Storm Team 6 forecast for the week ahead. That's coming up right here on the News at Noon. Stay with us. Welcome back. Tomorrow is the day that masks become mandatory in public spaces in Marion County. We also know there's a lot of misinformation circulating about the virus and the use of masks, especially on social media. So one researcher says he was tired of it and he wanted to do something about it. So Steve Siegel is an engineer at the University of Missouri out at Kansas City. And on his own time, he conducted a number of studies to show that wearing a mask is not impacting his breathing. Without a mask, his blood oxygen level was 95, and then with the mask on, after walking around in the heat, his level only dropped to a 94.
Below 90 is when they start questioning that your efficiency of your lungs and maybe there's an issue.
Siegel says he posted his results to his social media page called Crazy Cool Science. He hopes people will take the time to do their own research before posting or sharing misinformation.
We're just running up against a timeline here that there's really no amount of wishing and hoping can change.
The general election is 17 weeks away, so companies that print those mail-in ballots are warning states and counties they need to decide now if a majority of their residents will be voting by mail. Our Cornelius Hawker spoke to experts who tell him creating and shipping mail ballots is a complicated process that takes time to plan.
People just need to make up their mind. The counties and the states need to decide if they're going to do it or not going to do it.
Jeff Ellington, president and COO of Runbeck Election Services out of Arizona, is talking about voting by mail. He says the decision needs to be made by the end of this month, preferably sooner.
Normally, envelopes are ordered around the middle of July.
But for Jeff's company to do their job, states must first decide what their ballots will look like and get approval from the U.S. Postal Service for the design of envelopes. Only then can mail ballot vendors start the printing process. Some states are already working with vendors, limiting the capacity of mail-in ballots they can produce for the general election.
We have about 2 million pieces that we can take on.
2 million pieces of mail may sound like a lot, but Jeff explains why that's not the case.
When you look at counties in Texas, you look at New York City, you look at Chicago, places that can take up an entire machine with just one county coming our way, it doesn't leave a lot of room for others to make up their mind in September.
Voters around the country face major challenges in this year's primary elections. There were fewer places to cast ballots in person because of the coronavirus pandemic, so some people had to wait in long lines for hours. Others were concerned to vote in person because of the threat of COVID, but had no other option. Those experiences have many voters looking into voting by mail. Now, it's up to the government officials to make that process easier for them.
Let's get the process moving forward because a lot of things have to be put into place.
Working for you, Cornelius Hawker, RTV6.
Cornelius did reach out to the Secretary of State's office and the Marion County election officials. Both are still deciding whether to authorize the no-fault absentee voting for the general election as we had for the primary. So the no-fault voting would let you choose to vote by mail without needing a pre-approved reason. Right now, I want to take a turn to our forecast. It is our lunch hour, and Todd, you're saying you're already seeing some areas where we have some storms popping up, so something people need to keep an eye out for this afternoon.
Yeah, you know, Lauren, it's been like clockwork here throughout the past couple of days. Right around the noon hour, these storms start to develop, and then we deal with them throughout the afternoon and evening hours until sunset, and then they start to fade away. Here's a live look from downtown to the north, and there is one shower just north of downtown. Not very heavy, but you can kind of see the rain as you look in that direction. It's that darker area right in the center of your screen. Temperatures at this noon hour in the mid-80s already. 87 in Indy, 89 in Muncie, Bloomington at 88 degrees. You factor in the humidity, which is way up there again today, and already a triple-digit heat index in Peru. Lafayette feels like 98 degrees. 93 is what it feels like in Indianapolis. All these heat index values will be at around 95 to 100 throughout much of the afternoon. So if you do have to be outside, you obviously need to stay hydrated, drink a lot of water, because you'll be working up a sweat very, very quickly, and you'll have to pay attention to these storms that are starting to flare up. The heaviest storm that we have right now, or the strongest one, I guess I should say, is just south of downtown Bloomington as you work your way down State Road 37 towards Lake Monroe. And the four winds there, heavy rainfall, quite a bit of lightning in that cell as well. Nothing severe here. And then some scattered downpours through much of Lawrence County, Bedford, down towards Mitchell as well. And then as we slide in and back to the metro area, one lightning strike up there as you work right up Meridian Street into Washington Township as you get closer to Kessler Boulevard, and then eventually up to 86th Street there. It's inside the 465 loop as of right now. But the overall trend here is just for these showers and storms to start to flare up, and there's no rhyme or reason where they're going to develop. It's just going to be hit or miss all across the area, as you see on TrueCast. We deal with them through again around sunset, which is at 9 o'clock. As the sun starts to set, they should fade away. Can't rule out the chance of an isolated warning like we saw yesterday, but for the most part, most of these storms should stay below severe limits. Here are your actual high temperatures, but here are those heat index values. Look at this as we work our way into the 1 o'clock hour, up to 96, about 97 by 3 o'clock. We're at 99 degrees for your heat index values, so it's going to be extremely hot and humid afternoon. Rain chances today about 30%. They go up as we work our way into Thursday and Friday, and the reason is Friday a cold front's going to come through, and that is going to bring more widespread shower activity. And right now that front may come through fairly early in the day, so it may be more of a morning event with the showers and storms on Friday compared to the afternoon events like we've been seeing. It's just a stray shower Saturday and Sunday. I wouldn't really worry about it. The humidity comes down. The temperatures come down a few degrees as well, Lauren, into the 80s. But Tuesday, and then if we extend this out into the middle of next week, it looks like another stretch of 90-degree temperatures will be heading our way.
Whew, all right, Todd, thank you so much. Still ahead here on the news at noon, an incredible story of a rescue of a child from a burning building. You won't want to miss that. Plus, we'll get one final check of your forecast. You're watching RTV6. Stay with us. Well, Philip Blanks was a wide receiver in college, and those skills came in handy in a big way last week because they helped him to save someone's life. Check this out. It's an incredible video of Blanks. This is from July 3rd. You can watch how he dives here to catch this 3-year-old boy who was thrown from a balcony of a burning building. This is in Phoenix, Arizona. Blanks says he was at his home when he heard the commotion, so he went outside, saw the fire, and then he saw the woman up there on the patio with the boy and someone else below on the ground, and he ran up to the scene just in time.
Yeah, he was twirling in the air like a propeller, and it was. I just did my best.
Wow, well, unfortunately, the child's mother did die in that fire, and so Blanks called her the real hero for making the ultimate sacrifice to save her child. Just incredible timing there, Todd. So thankful he was at the right place at the right time. All right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's get one more check of our forecast, though, before we end the show here today.
Yeah, absolutely unbelievable there, Lauren. All right, here's your forecast going forward. Some storms starting to build already across the area. They'll be spotty here throughout the afternoon, very similar to what we've seen so far this week with the storms building. Heavy rain, some lightning, some gusty winds, but very, very spotty. More of the same for tomorrow. They become a little more numerous on Friday, then slightly cooler and less humid as we head into the weekend, Lauren.
All right, Todd, thanks. And thank you for joining us and making RTV6 your choice for news. Come back here tonight at the news at 5. Have a great afternoon.